Hi, my name is Julia MacDonald, and I will be reading my final draft for Paper 1. The question posed in Paper 1 was, we live in the United States of America, so what is it exactly that unites us? My paper will explain this. The title of my paper is called Uniting the United States. The United States is a melting pot, overflowing with diversity and differences. As an outsider looking in, it might look like our country is anything but united and we should change our name. But that would only be if you believe everything you hear on the news. Ironically, our diversity has helped unite us along with our collective stride for and maintenance of individual liberty, limited government, and national independence. Despite all our differences, our patriotism has consistently been proven to unite us throughout our history and in the present day. For what was once America's weakness is now the United States' strength. Furthermore, even before we were the United States, racism and slavery polarized the country. In some eyes, diversity was a bad thing, and difference was so scary they discriminated against people of other races, religion, etc. These people accepted slavery as a normal practice, and some even felt entitled to it. The people with true American spirit always knew that slavery and racism were wrong and frowned upon it. Some of these people were scared to speak out, but others were brave and decided to create the abolitionist movement. The editors of Encyclopedia Britannica state that, by the late 18th century, moral disapproval of slavery was widespread, suggesting that people of all differences supported this movement. The better part of America came together and gave justice to what is now one of the United States' slogans. All men are created equal. We put all differences aside for our country and our independence, and that is precisely what unites us. This goes to show how diversity was once America's weakness, but is now the United States' strength. And our racial and ethnic diversity is more diverse than ever. According to Abby Budeman from the Pew Research Center, more than 40% of Americans identify as other when it concerns their ethnicity. Unfortunately, some people are still scared of diversity and difference to this day, which ultimately caused the current polarization of our two major political parties. After Donald Trump won the controversial 2016 elections, the Democratic and Republican parties were pitted against each other, while every news station was right there to profit. Emphasizes what divides us and exploiting our fear for political advantage. Immigrants and African Americans were scared for what was about to come, now that Donald Trump was the President of the United States. Some believed their individual liberty would be tarnished or our limited government would be compromised, and some of them were right. Trump allowed out waves of racism, to which some people found acceptable and encouraged. For example, according to Abram X. Kendi from The Atlantic, Trump tweeted, "Why don't they go back and fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came? These places need your help badly. You can't leave fast enough." In which he was talking about a Democratic congresswoman from out of the United States. This was not acceptable. People got so fed up and started peaceful protests in another attempt to finally end racism. There were people of every ethnicity coming together as one to try and put an end to racism and honor our national anthem when it says, "Liberty and justice for all." I never said our country was perfect. I know it has some downfalls, but it is still our country, and as the United States citizens, we will always fight for it together. Patriotism is what unites us, but diversity is what makes us the United States. Everything about the United States is diverse, from ethnicity to practice religions, and we are always expanding, adapting, and changing. One good thing about Donald Trump becoming president is that amazing slogan he threw around, "Make America Great Again," because it is almost perfect for us. We do not have everything just right, and let us be honest, we never have. But we are always trying to improve and become better. Just like every country, we have our problems, and sometimes divide amongst ourselves. But unlike every country, we will always move past our differences and unite to protect our liberty. For example, during the American Revolution, while slavery was still an all-time high, the African Americans helped us win the war. The American Battlefield Trust says the significant role African Americans played in the war for independence cannot be disputed. Disregarding our differences, we stood together and fought for our freedom, which is ultimately the only reason we won the war. We are united by patriotism because of our love for this country and what it stands for: life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, equality, justice, and diversity. We have a couple basic patriotic things that everybody should know. For example, if you went to public school in the United States, then you probably know the Pledge of Allegiance. Knowing this poem is a sign of being patriotic, as well as knowing the national anthem. Another act of patriotism is honoring our soldiers and thanking them for their service. It is pretty much customary here. Lastly, appreciating our diversity and imperfections. It is what makes us the United States after all. Ultimately, the United States of America is extremely diverse, which can sometimes divide us, but will always unite us in the end. Diversity has made our country what it is today, which is far from perfect. Our country has made many mistakes, some that even left scars on our land and people. But with our patriotism, we can overcome anything. We are united even when we are not. No matter our differences, one thing is for sure. We want our country to prosper, and we want to maintain our liberty. You could call us dysfunctional, and it is probably true, but it works for us. We are diverse, but we are united. We are the United States of America. There's also 2 questions I have for the class about my paper. One is, do you feel I could have explained something further in my essay, and if so, what? And then the second question is, how did the paper make you feel? And were you relating to my feelings, or did you have opposite feelings?